please welcome Diego Villaveses.
What is poetry? Whisper your lips as you stare into my soul. What is poetry? And you ask me. Poetry is all. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, the poem you just heard was composed in 1856 by one of Spain's most influential post-romantic writers, Gustavo Adolfo Bécquer. And if you enjoyed that short piece, you're in for a treat today. There is more poetry to come. However, tonight's performance comes from a much more modern tradition. Slam poetry nights are events where the spoken word is featured and showcased as a competitive performance art. 5 people are selected from the audience at random, and they will judge the poets that will read their poetry for the first time in front of a live audience. Each judge will judge the poets on a scale of 1 to 10, purely on the basis of the audience's reaction. As the audience, you're encouraged to heckle and boo if you don't like what you're listening to, and to holler, hoot, clap, and yell if you do. I'm going to ask you to be a little bit quiet today, but today's performance comes from 4 times winner of the North American Slam Poetry Championship, Taylor Malley. Mr. Malley measures his life in a variety of ways. He has accumulated 11 years of experience as a professional poet. For over 10 months, he was the official voice of Burger King. He has 2 books and 3 cats. For 9 years, he has been teaching students in college and primary and high school. Once, in a game of Scrabble, he earned a score of 581. But most important than all of that is that over the course of his life, his work has inspired 589 people to become teachers. So please, join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Taylor Malley. Tony Steinberg, brave 7th grade Viking warrior. Have you ever seen a Viking sheep made out of popsicle sticks and balsa wood? Coils of brown thread for the ropes. Oars made out of, what are those? Chopsticks. And an authentic red and yellow flag made from a ripped piece of baby Swedish pajamas? I have. He died with his sword in his hand, and so was heard to heaven. The Vikings often buried their bravest warriors in ships, or set them adrift and on fire, a floating island of flame. The soul of the brave warrior rising slowly with the smoke. In order to understand life in Scandinavia in the time of the Middle Ages, you have to understand the Viking ship. So here's what I want the class to do. I want you all to build me 1 miniature Viking ship. You can use whatever materials you want. You have 6 weeks to complete your assignment, but you must work together, like warriors. These projects are what I'm known for as a history teacher. Like the Greek Shield Project, or the Marshmallow Catapult Project, or the Medieval Castle of Chocolate Cake. Right. Actually, that one was a disaster. But there was the Egyptian Pyramid Project. Have you ever seen a family of 4 gathered around the table after dinner, each member of the family holding onto one triangular side of a miniature cardboard Egyptian pyramid until the glue finally dried? I haven't either, but Miss Steinberg said that even with the little brother standing on the one side saying, "This is a stupid pyramid, Tony. If I get Mr. Malley next year, my pyramid is going to be so much better designed than this piece of..." And Tony on the other side going, "Shut up, shut up, shut up, you stupid idiot. If you let go before the glue dries, I will disembowel you with your Sony PlayStation. It was the best family time that they'd spent together since Hanukkah. He died with his sword in his hand, and so went straight to heaven. Mr. Malley, if that's true, that a Viking would die with his sword in his hand and go straight to Valhalla, then if you were like an old Viking and you were going to die of old age, could you keep your sword right by your bed, so if you feel like, oh, I might die of old age, you could reach out and grab it and still go to heaven? Could you do that? Well, if I were a Viking god, I don't think I'd fall for that. But if I were an old Viking, about to die of old age, that's exactly what I would do. You are a genius. He died with his sword in his hand, and so went straight to heaven. Tony Steinberg had been missing from school for 2 months before we finally found out what was wrong. And then the 12 boys in the class whispered the name of the disease, as if you could catch it from saying it too loud. We'd been warned. The head of the primary school had come to class and said, Tony is going to try to come for a visit on Friday, but he's had a rough time. The medication he's taking has made all his hair fall out. So nobody stared, nobody pointed, nobody laughed. I always say that I like teaching in a private school, because I could talk about God in the classroom and not breaking the law. Yes, in history class that's easy. Even the Egyptian pyramid project is essentially a spiritual undertaking with all its geometry. But how can you teach math and not believe in a God of perfect geometric space and time, surrounded by arcangels and angles and right angles of varying degrees? Such a God would not give cancer to a 7th grade boy. He would not make his hair fall out from chemotherapy. Probably bald, in a jacket and tie, on a Friday morning, and I don't mean just Tony Steinberg. Not one single kid in my class had hair that day. The other 12 had shaved their heads in solidarity. Have you ever seen 13 bald-headed 7th graders in jackets and ties, all of them staring at each other, all of them laughing, all of them pointing? I have, and it's a beautiful sight. Almost as striking as 12 7th grade boys, 1 month later, standing in a circle outside the synagogue after the memorial service, heads bowed, holding hands, surrounding the smoldering remains of the class's miniature Viking ship, which they have set on fire, the soul of the brave warrior, rising slowly.